Flame turret down. Flame turret is down.
Hold it here for a second. Two are down. Want to push the last guy?
He's calling his trash.
No, leave him.
Alright, let's push back a little. Hey guys, what's going on? And thanks for tuning in to Legatum Gaming, where today I'm going to show you my latest build video. But before we get into that, I would just like to say a big thank you for those people who watched my last video, which was the 2-shot shotgun build. I'm overwhelmed with the support on that. That's over 2,000 views, so really just a big thank you for that. So let's get into my latest one. We have a Predator's Mark build with a vigorous chest piece and savage gloves. So let's get into my overall talents and majors and minors on each one. But first, let's start with my gun. So I'm running an MP5 ST, which you could mix this up and go for an assault rifle, such as like a lightweight M4. However, it's entirely up to you. However, my MP5 is what I prefer, just for the nature of the critical hit chance, and it's easier to spec higher into it. So my talents that I'm running on it is responsive, brutal, and fierce. Now, I'm pretty happy with all of these talents. I have tried Fierce and Adept, both in the 3rd slot. However, I just generally prefer Fierce, just on this build alone. However, as you guys all know, I'm a really big fan of Adept. However, Fierce having the constant 5% chance is what I prefer, opposed to the Adept, which you get once you use a skill. Although that Adept does stack, I think they have got rid of this in the most recent update. So Fierce for me, I prefer that just here, so that's what I have on that. Alright, now the actual mods that I have on my weapon is I'm running a C79 scope, which critical hit damage is 18%, critical hit chance is 2.5%, and headshot damage is 6%. Now, there is different variants you could run on this. I was weighing up the option of the VX1 scope just for the fact it has extra headshot damage. However, because the critical hit chance is naturally really high on the SMGs, I just prefer having critical hit damage as the main. Hence, if you're getting a lot of crit hit chance, you want a lot of damage because the stacks are going to come quick. The magazine is just pretty much standard, so it's 119% with 3% crit hit chance and 5.2% rate of fire. Now, you could mix this up and put like crit hit chance and crit hit damage. A lot of people argue that the SMGs already have a high rate of fire, so you don't need an extra 5%. However, I disagree, and it just makes sense. The more bullets you're hitting at them, the quicker they go down. So for me, that is my choice. And the grip I'm running here is 19% crit hit damage, 4% reload speed, and 2% accuracy. So that's just the one I'm running on that. And then we get into the muzzle. I'm running 17% crit hit damage, 3% crit hit chance, and 5.5% headshot damage. Now again, depending on how or what weapon you want to choose, you could certainly mix this up. If I was to run an assault rifle, I would probably put crit hit chance as my main, just to boost that up. However, crit hit damage on the SMG, because crit hit chance is easier to come by. So that's an overall look at my primary weapon. My secondary weapon, I actually do use quite a bit, which is the M700 Tactical. It's actually really good, and I will just go through this real quick for you guys. So 170% headshot damage with prepared, brutal, and elevated. So I'm very happy with that. And then it's just kind of the standard on this. So 17% headshot damage for my scope. 120% magazine size with reload speed and rate of fire, and then headshot damage for the suppressor. So it's just kind of standard for this. Okay, so let's get into the main build. Vigorous is my main, which I'm running, which is rolled to firearms. Before we start, let's just get everything straight. Everything I have is rolled to firearms. Every mod I'm using is also rolled to firearms, with the exception of, I believe, my mask, which actually has stamina in there, which I'm a little disappointed about myself. However, that is just for the sheer fact I need to unlock my responsive talent on my MP5. So a little disappointed with that, because I would want them all to be firearms. However, just to unlock responsive, that's what I need to do. Okay, so back to the vigorous. Health is the major, which is pretty much god roll. Skill haste at 8%. Now I can do an extra percent and get that to 9. I spent like 20 minutes the other day trying to do that, however, to no prevail. And then ammo capacity is the minor. So a pretty much god roll vigorous chest right here. Then straight onto the mask with critical hit chance at 3.5%, and then damage to elites as the minor. Damage to elites is okay, because at the minute I'm doing a little farming, because I'm going to try and work on a few different builds for you guys, so stay tuned for that. However, it could be a little bit better with 4% critical hit chance, and then I would prefer maybe like shock resistance or something like that as a minor, just because everybody's running them at the minute, so that's just the way that goes. And I'm pretty happy with the armor. So if you guys have a look, armor is a stat which isn't really used too much or known too much, if that kind of makes sense. So most people just kind of like, let me show you, for example, the gloves. So looking at these, you'd think they're pretty much god roll, right? So savage gloves, 1260 firearms, critical hit chance, enemy armor damage, critical hit damage. Like, wow. But then you have a look at the armor at the side, 904. That's actually not too great. So, however, I mean, it's not too bad, but, you know, these gloves, they're 957, you know, 936 down here at the skull. So, you know, pay close attention to your armor when you get these rolls, because they certainly make a little bit of difference. All right, so onto the knee pads. Firearms again with 15,500 health. Burn resistance, disrupt resistance, and damage to elites. We then go on to the backpack, which is firearms again, as I've previously stated, with skill power. And then minor is bleed resistance. Now, you could change out the skill power and put whatever you want. I would preferably prefer critical hit damage, like on a few of my other backpacks. However, skill power, as you can see, I've already rolled it into firearms, so I cannot change my skill power. Now, I have been searching for a different backpack. However, I can't get one with one that's similar to the armor on this. Like, I got a god roll one. However, the armor was really, really poor. So the actual attributes were really good, but the armor was really poor. So I've stuck to this one. However, having skill power as a major is not a big deal. As you can see, my skill power at 94,000 isn't the best. However, that's the way I intended this build to be. So, stay tuned for that. Now, the gloves we've pretty much covered, so I won't go over them too much. However, savage is standard. We then go on to my holster, which is critical hit chance, and everything is over 1200, so I'm pretty happy with that. However, you know, firearms could be a little better, but I'm happy with that. So that's the way that goes. If you guys do get a better holster, then by all means, certainly, you know, do let me know. If you guys do want to change this build in any way, then certainly do let me know. Now, when we get on to the abilities, which I'll go through in a minute, I will show you guys how and what can be changed to make the build a little bit more better. However, let's get into the actual character stats. So my weapon damage, bearing in mind I have an SMG, is almost 22,000. Critical hit chance is 47.5%, and my critical hit damage is 96%. Headshot 74, so again, I could change out my scopes and increase the headshot damage and reduce the critical hit damage. However, I just prefer more critical hit damage. Now, critical hit chance at 47.5% isn't the biggest of sort of numbers. However, nobody should ever run their numbers to like 60%, which is the max. In fact, this critical hit chance I have now is a little high, and actually I don't want it to be that high. Why, you're wondering? That's just because if you have somebody in your team, which I do and I run on a daily basis with, who has a really, really strong pulse, you guys can see that number down there, 8% for me, or 7.8 to be precise. It bumps that up. So for example, my critical hit chance, if I'm running the pulse, is 7.8%. That then bumps up my overall number to like, what's that, 53%, 54%. So it's only 6% off max, and my skill power is only 94,000. So if you're running with someone with like 180k plus skill power, they will give you, in this instance and this example, a maximum critical hit chance pulse. And that's not even including increasing your critical hit damage by like 20%. So the nature of this build is not to be the person with the pulse, that's for sure. So let me get that out there straight away. If you did want to be the person with the pulse in your team, you could do various things like you could have a Predator's vest on, and you could put specialized on here, and you can change various different elements on it, and you can roll into skill power and electronics. However, that's a total different and separate build. So they're just the overall stats. So what they're looking like now is not what they will be like in the game. So if you're running with someone with a hybrid build who has like maybe like 40 or 50% skill haste, your critical hit chance will be at max pretty much every 10 to 15 seconds, and your critical hit damage should be something around 120 or 130%. So, you know, don't worry too much about the stats at the second. However, they are pretty good. Damage to elites 23%. However, you know, this is mainly a PvP build. I've just got these on a few of my miners on my gear. Enemy armor damage is 6.5%. I did swap that out recently and put in critical hit chance, so I might swap that back, again, depending on how you are. Skill haste at 11%. So they're kind of like the overall bits of my build. Onto my abilities, I'm running a booster with the Disruptor. Now, the Disruptor itself could be actually a separate video. It's really, really underrated. Now, the Disruptor only came out or came into play once kind of like the MDR was like a massive thing. So, you know, once a couple videos of the MDR came about, everybody wanted that. And with the unique talent it has, where it's an extra, I think it's 10 or 15% damage if a enemy is disrupted, that's where it came about from. However, it is really, really underrated. Disrupt your enemy and either causes them to use an medkit or kind of like stops them from shooting you. So it's really, really good. Alternatively, you could run with the shock turret. So the idea is your group is running the pulse, and these are your kind of like overall talents. Now, I will show you some little very small clips of how the critical hit chance and critical hit damage comes into effect with the pulse. So stay tuned and check out the remainder of the video. Alright, so just showing you in the base downstairs, kind of like what it looks like. So a standard shot is like 71, 72. You can see I've just pulsed, I put my booster in, and it's hitting almost 80k as a critical hit. Now bearing in mind, this is only with skill power of like 92,000, so just remember that with your team who's got like 200,000 skill power, just imagine the damage that it can do. The rogue.
Exiting the contaminated area.
Just fucking get everybody, man.
I got another one. Guy behind you, behind you, behind you.
Roger, nice. Nice, thank you, thank you. Oh, he's at the end of the street? Keep pushing, keep pushing.
I'm shocked.
He's down. Alright, well, we're coming in hot, we're rogue.
Oh shit, you are? Oh fuck. 3 guys. Immune is down.
One guy's down.
Another guy's down.
Nice, I'm in the immune.
Got a big guy on me. I'm squeezy as fuck.
Oh shit.
I'm squeezy as fucking rock.
That's the revive. I've got him.
Take out the big guy, please.
He's down. Boss is down.
Stay in the EMU. I'm gonna pop it.
Coming. Nice. Well, I'm sure they'll be back. There we go, one guy.
He's level 29.
Oh, he's fucking running, man.
Well, another guy. Two other guys. Two other guys. Two other guys. They're fighting NPCs. Leave them.
Whoa, I'm getting from the left, two guys.
Yeah. I'm down.
Coming.
Commencing cargo retrieval.
Oh, from behind me. Nice revive, man.
I'm not good as an healer, man.
One guy still there. Fucking melting people with this, man. God damn. 4-piece predator?
Alert.
Oh my god. Got me with a grenade. He shot me.
I'm coming in out with my gold build. I'm gonna melt them. Just run it off or something.
God damn. Untouchable, man. I'm coming to you.
Warning. You've disavowed a division and unlocked its
Oh, players behind you. Thank you.
Boost on the ground.
One player. Let's push him to the right.
detected below street level.
Nice.
Contamination
Oh,
level.
let's back away a little bit.
Just run.
Alert.
Run.
A member of your team has disavowed division affiliation. Your team will be marked rogue.
If you got balls, we're gonna go to the contamination event.
Let's do it, man. It's at the last stage of it, so it's pretty weak anyway.
Disavowed. You are now marked as rogue.
Oh fuck! Right behind us.
A team member has disavowed a division. Your team is now designated.
Boost on the ground, guys. Boost on the ground.
Warning. You've disavowed a division and unlocked as rogue.
Pop
Fuck,
metrics
run
to you
it, run,
guys.
run, run, run.
Member of your team disavowed a division. Your team is now marked rogue. Warning. You've disavowed a division. This action will mark
Go,
you
go,
as
go.
rogue.
I'm not man on. Go, go, go. If I die, I'm just normal rogue.
A
Go.
team member has disavowed a division. Your team is now
There's 3 guys following you, about 80 yards behind.
Contamination level critical below string level. Alert. A member of your team has disavowed division affiliation. Your team will be marked rogue.
Fuck.
Philippe.
Player cut us off.
Philippe.
Division has been
That's
disavowed.
Philippe. Yeah,
You
yeah,
are
yeah,
now
yeah,
marked
yeah.
as rogue.
You got balls?
It's the only way we gotta go!
No! Fuck.
There's no other way, man. Oh, I'm fucking down?